I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan.
I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
Hey guys, welcome back. Oops, the podcast. This is right around our 1 year anniversary of me and Lynchy ripping it solo. We got some cool merch coming down the docket. I don't know if that's the proper way to use that phrase.
The docket. Let's see what the docket
coming down
means.
the pipe. Coming down
Let's
the pipe.
see if YuGiOh messed up on a phrase this time. Docket.
That's right.
A calendar or list of cases for trial or people. Okay, so it says calendar in the beginning.
Correct.
You're fine. Fuck.
So we got a couple cool new designs. This one is commemorating the DM slide of a lifetime, where Gallerati slid in the DMs of Hill Dog. This is me on the surfboard sliding in the DMs. It's a great tee for a little party. Great combo starter. It's like having a dog, this thing.
Yeah. Oh my God, can I touch your shirt? It's so cute and colorful.
We got the Ryan Lynch's pizza pie tee, and we also got some cool new Oops sort of logo tees.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a bunch of good shit. So go oopspodcast.com to check it out. Some of these summer styles.
Low key,
get in there.
Low key, I think we have some of like the freshest gear.
We
Like
do.
it's giving streetwear. Like,
Dude, totally. Shout out to Andy Paz, who designs all of our logos.
And also Brooke for the Ryan Lynch's pizza pie.
Oh yeah.
Tee. I mean, like, we got some really good, talented artists working on the Oops streetwear brand.
That's a hot, yeah, for sure. And yeah, shout out to Andy. Go check out his new channel, Big Time. They just started and they already have like 10 times more subscribers than us. So
Nice. Friendly reminder.
Good for them.
Please, even if you just listen to the pod, give us a sub on YouTube. Just a little sub-a-rooney.
Hit us with a rating, a comment, all that stuff. It
means
all helps,
the
it helps us a
world.
lot too.
It means the world if you could go ahead and do that for us.
Right. It means the world specifically because it actually converts into our success. You know,
Yeah.
just leave our YouTube episodes on for eternity.
Or just give them a like. The one thing, someone's emailed us about this. I can't quite crack it. And we've spoken to people about it. But when you type in oops on YouTube, for a typical podcast, yours would appear right away. But ours is always flooded with Britney Spears's.
Well, that makes sense, bro.
Oops, I Did It Again. So just give us a search.
Yeah. I mean, that doesn't upset me. I don't think there's a problem. Like Britney Spears, Oops, I Did It Again is like a generational iconic song. And while our pod is very good.
Oh, absolutely.
And very solid and has wide reach.
And you and I didn't go crazy, so we deserve to be at the top of the search, just saying.
Okay. All right, Lynch. Way to throw in a little sneak diss there.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of which, speaking of iconic stars, I think we should start the episode talking about America's sweetheart, Hawk Tua, spit on that thing. You get me?
I think her name's Haley.
Her name is Haley. That little chuckle she did at the end, she became America's sweetheart immediately. It's amazing how widely everybody loves her, bro, and she deserves it. She's great.
Yeah, so just a friendly reminder to any of our audience that
lives under a rock.
That lives under a rock, or maybe they have some young interns that are working at their office and they start hearing in the break room, spit on that thing. That is the new viral meme of the summer. So we'll give you the scoop on what that's all about. So your young interns and new hires are super impressed with your Gen Z lingo.
But don't come in the office and start saying Hawk Tua because it's a sexual reference and you will be in trouble for sexual harassment immediately.
Immediate meeting with HR on the calendar. Guy was doing one of those man on the street interviews. He said, what do you do to get your man going? Right?
He said something like, how do you get your man going, or how do you make yourself like indispensable or something?
Yeah.
Something like that, right?
And she just said, give him that huakta and spit on that thing.
Haktua.
Haktua. Yeah. So she's making hats for it, and now she's a millionaire.
Is she?
She made hats right away.
Good for her.
So she's killing it.
And I think her dad was like there in the picture with her. I would love to find, do we know what her Instagram is?
I found it.
What is it?
But it's private.
Oh, wow. Good for her.
Good for her.
I'm following her still.
Okay, so,
She's
and then at the end of the video, she says, I love you, Pookie. I love you, Pookie, talking
yeah.
about her boyfriend. Because I think he maybe followed up with like, would you ever leave your man or something like that.
Interesting.
She went out of her way to say that she is faithful and loyal to her guy.
Nice.
Now, do you think that her guy is a little bit in his head about his girlfriend being the most viral person on the planet right now for a sexual thing?
Well, there's a lot to that. Hopefully this guy is, evolved enough that the fact that it's a sexual thing is not a problem. I mean, like, guys, if you don't want to have your future manipulated, do not go on a man on the street thing. They will edit you out of context to make you look however they want. In this case, it worked out for her because she's America's darling and sweetheart. But in other situations, and this has even happened to me, dude, on Hannah Berner's thing, I said some stupid shit, which I get called out for periodically. And I'm like, God damn it, dude. I almost didn't do it. She did something very clever. She was like, all right, we're doing man on the street stuff. You want to do it? And I was like, nah, I'm good. And then everybody started doing it. And then she didn't ask me again. And then I turned into, well, I guess maybe I'll do it. Like one of those, And before you know it, I'm over there making a fool out of myself. So be careful. In this situation, it worked out. And this is actually really good for man on the street movements in general, this clip, because everybody loves her so much that it's going to make people, for at least the next 6 months, more inclined to want to do those kind of things. Yeah. So, and I didn't answer your question. So
let me preface something too. Not the insecurity of the fact that the content that she's in has to do with sex. It's more so the fame that she now has because of the moment.
Agreed.
So just want to make that change to the point.
That's the bigger question.
Yes.
Because, there is a world where there's two normal people living their normal lives, and now suddenly one person becomes this mega celebrity. Now, granted, it could just end up being her 15 minutes of fame, and likely will be, but you never know, dude. Cash me outside, how about that? That girl is a full celebrity, superstar celebrity. Like,
she makes hundreds a month on OnlyFans.
Of thousands?
Of thousands.
And on Snapchat, she's making like 20 grand a month or something. That girl's killing it. Bless her heart. So anyway, look, there is a world where this girl becomes a celebrity and starts being a celebrity, and she like outgrows her fucking mans, and they're young too. You know what I mean? So you never know, man. And is he sweating a little bit? It's possible.
Yeah.
And maybe, who knows? Maybe that's why she's keeping her page private, because she's like, listen, babe, like, I love you, whatever. But dude, that girl's a star, bro.
She is a true star.
Maybe her guy's a G also. Who knows?
Yeah. I did find out through some of my sources that are very, very invested in this movement. She is a teacher. Strike that. Was a teacher. She got fired from her job because of the video.
Wow. But I read that was fake.
Where'd you read that?
Yesterday.
Okay. Well,
I read that was fake, that she got fired.
Okay. Well then how, so you're the principal or the superintendent at the school district that a teacher works at. You have young kids that are on their phone. She is the meme of the year. Luckily, it's the summer, so maybe it'll die over by September, but I feel like that puts you in a really tough spot.
I say you let it rock. If paparazzi are fucking surrounding the school, maybe you put her on a paid leave of absence for a while till things cool off. But,
Interesting.
Chances are she'll easily make up for it with her merch.
Yeah.
If she's doing that right.
Yeah. If I was dating her, I think I'd play it cool for like the first couple of days, but then, I would not be surprised if she's in the other room while I'm making dinner and she's like, oh my God, John Mayer, Leonardo DiCaprio, Lil Yachty, Drake just followed me on Instagram. And then I feel like the world could change real quick.
The rappers are dogs, dude. The rappers are dogs. I have a friend who deals with this. He has a girlfriend who has a pretty big Instagram account, and she gets DM'd by celebrities like all the time.
Yeah.
And there's celebrities who are trying to like get it in. Mm-hmm. And they seem as if they have I don't really know what happens behind closed doors with them about it, but like They seem to have a pretty open communication about it where she like shows him. But you know, that would be challenging, I think, for anyone.
Yeah.
Well, dude, can we talk? Well, I guess while we're doing this, and I know that these stories now are probably cooling off a bit by the time this episode comes out, but Justin Timberlake.
Yikes.
Justin Timberlake getting the DUI. Hate to see it. Poor guy. I know saying poor guy is maybe controversial, but like there's certain places where you're more likely to get clipped for one of those. That is one of them. I know people who've gotten DUIs driving like 800 yards. Like they were from their beginning point to their destination, 800 yards DUI. So it's not the place to mess around with that. And who knows? I have no idea how much of a blood alcohol content he had or whatever. But there is certainly a scenario where many adults are able to drink a certain amount and drive. But if they were to get pulled over, they would get arrested, and maybe they deserve it. But I'm not holding it against JT, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not even a fan, but in no way am I like, oh, this guy doesn't have his shit together. I mean, there's no indication of that. You know, he seemed like he was fairly composed.
Yeah.
In the moment. Who knows? Maybe he was swerving around. And if that is the case, obviously that is very bad. Not all DUIs are created equal, but in the eyes of the law, potentially not the case. And, you know, he'll have to do what he has to do, but it'll probably just end up being a net positive for him.
Yeah, I think people will forget about this right away.
All news is good news potentially applies here.
So I read, and this is not from my friend, so this is a more valuable source. This is a more viable source, that somebody that worked at the hotel that he was drinking at called the police and said, hey, I'm worried Justin Timberlake is going to get behind the wheel because he's very intoxicated. And he gave them kind of a tip.
Wow.
And in that case...
This is reliable information?
Do you trust me?
Well, based on the teacher getting fired thing, I just had to follow up.
Okay, so based off of us doing this podcast for a year, you and me together, do you trust me?
What the fuck? Yeah.
Do you? I feel like I've come in with some stuff where you've been like,
Well, listen, Lynch, I trust you, but you know, in any given scenario, if there's a reason for me to think that I need to confirm, that doesn't mean I don't trust you. I'm just, you know,
That's
doing
fair.
my due diligence.
Okay, well, in this case, this is what happened. This is what I read, and I believe it to be true. Snitching. Like, why wouldn't you just stop him?
Are you sure you want to get behind the wheel, Mr. T?
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. Like, he saw... I feel like he should be slightly responsible if something were to happen because he didn't intervene. Don't you have an obligation?
What do you mean? He did intervene.
But he called the police and said, hey, he might leave. He called before JT left and said, hey, he's drunk and he might get behind the wheel.
Good Samaritan or villain, Lynch?
I don't know. I think it's a bad dude move.
It's a good question, though, because look, if a guy is truly bombed and he's driving and he can't handle driving, okay? Say you are so hammered that you are going to put others in danger and etc. You know, maybe you do want to stop him for the greater good. I don't know. It's controversial.
Think about. Let's think of another example. Let's say you're a bellboy. Is that a job?
I believe so.
It's called bellboy. You're a bellboy at the hotel from that Jordan Belfort was on when he did all the Quaaludes. And I know there was a reenactment, probably an exaggeration to some degree, but let's assume that it played out exactly as it did in the movie when he is crawling down the stairs and he gets in the car. If he were to drive home and kill people along the way, wouldn't you think that anybody that works at the hotel that witnessed him making his way into the car would be responsible as well?
No.
I feel like you have an obligation to intervene there. Like a legal obligation.
No, Justin Timberlake has an obligation to not drive when he's too fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the type of thing where like every man for himself, bro. We all got enough shit going on. We can't be paying attention to how much everyone's drinking. The law is in place to protect us from ourselves and from others. It's a good law. And if JT was too twisted, shouldn't have been driving. Boom. If he was barely a little twisted and he could have easily driven the way that, you know, your uncle's house and he drinks a bottle of wine and drives home and it's literally no problem at all, then different story maybe. I don't know. It's one of those things where there should not be a gray area because the potential to do massive damage is too high, right? So like, if you were fine technically, like, listen, you deserve the DUI still potentially because it's one of those things where we want to make sure that nobody, like, there's too many stories of drunk guy killing other people and surviving. That's just like not fair.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if this seems inconsistent with my original take, but I don't think it is. Like, all I'm saying is that if Justin Timberlake had 3 drinks and he got a DUI for that, that feels like it's shitty, but you know, he shouldn't have been driving. It's tough out there. They'll clip you, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know.
I just at the very least, not a cool dude move to snitch on JT, and just like he should have just went up to him and said, "Hey, don't." You
got to mind your own business. But Lynch has become the type of guy that maybe would have intervened there and been like, "Hey, Mr. Timberlake, you've drank a lot tonight.
Your body is rocked. Rock your body. Go back to the bar and have a water.
You're gonna go bye."
Yeah, and if you get into a car accident, you'll ruin your suit and tie. And before you get into the car, you should have a pep talk with yourself in the mirror. Whoa. Give me the keys.
Foreboding words. Did I ever tell you about that prank that we did on my prank show that involved drinking and driving?
Not a drinking and driving one.
Okay, so dude, this was the prank. They didn't let us air it because they said it was too dark. And I've never actually seen it. I have all the episodes on my computer, but this one didn't air, so I never got to see it, but it was pretty fucking funny. So basically, the person being pranked is bartending a, Alcoholics Anonymous happy hour with all non-alcoholic wine.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody comes, and I forget if we like put our keys in a bowl or something, which would have made no sense because no one was actually drinking, but I think they still put the keys in a bowl. And what ended up happening is people were drinking, and starting to seem like people were getting hammered, but like it's impossible because it's not alcoholic wine. Then people started taking their keys and leaving, and suddenly it turns out that the bartender's been serving everyone real alcohol.
Where's the prank in that? That's the prank?
That's the prank. So everybody at the bar is pretending to be recovering alcoholics who are sober, and they think they're drinking non-alcoholic wine, but it's actually alcoholic wine. So everybody gets bombed, and quote unquote, it's all fake.
Uh-huh.
And because now everyone's taking their keys from the bartender, and the bartender not only is giving people their keys, but they've been serving them alcohol, and now these alcoholics are all driving home. It was pretty fucked up. And pretty dark, but kind of hilarious.
How did he? What was like the first sign? Just like people slurring their words.
Yeah, just being like, I think I was playing one of the drunk people. And I was like, "Oh man, I remember when," whatever. Just like pretending to be fucked up, and then taking the keys and leaving. Well, anyway, guys, thank you to everyone who came out to see me in Portland, Oregon, and also in Mill Valley, California. Lynch, I want to tell you about these gigs. They were both fun and unique. I had a nice little week on the West Coast. I have New York City coming up July 18th. That one's going to sell out, so make sure you get those as soon as you can. Also, Pasadena on the 3rd of August. I think that will probably sell out as well. Then I have the 20th and the 21st in Florida, St. Pete, Coastal Creative. Those should be great. And trying to add more stuff as well. So go to the link in my bio to add your city if you want me to try to come there, and I'll let you know when I'm in town as well. So anyway, Lynch, I did a Wednesday night show, Portland, Oregon. Had a great time in the city. Thank you guys for coming. It was a great show for a Wednesday night. Pretty packed. Really, really good turnout and a lot of fun. I went to this really lovely rose garden during the day where there are so many roses and they're so fragrant. Like, were you aware of the variety of fragrances that came out of these giant roses?
Not the variety.
Yeah,
I know the pungentness.
Yeah, totally.
Of them.
Dude, like some of these roses smell like passion fruit. Dude, it was crazy. Like, what a crazy and unique thing. So that was super fucking cool. And Portland's just a great city. It's one of those places where I've always wished that I've gotten to spend a little more time in. Like, I've been there for like 24 hours, 2 or 3 times. And I always wish that I could go for a little bit longer. And dude, I had a very unique show in Mill Valley the next night. It was a private sort of not really a private gig, but the city of Mill Valley puts it on. For those of you who don't know about Mill Valley, it's in Marin County, which is just slightly north of San Francisco and is a very well-to-do area in general. This particular town is leaning older, but it's like a big community and people seem to be pretty healthy there. And shout out to Sharon, who's now a pal, and who told me about all the facts. She helped organize this very well-run event. And she was saying it is one of the healthiest and wealthiest areas in the country. And dude, this was like over 2,500 people in this square.
The photos look sick.
Crazy, right? Outside during the day, I co-headlined it with Michael Yo, who is a legend in comedy. And there was a bunch of other great comics on the show as well. So unique. And then after we had this big banquet, bunch of wine. It's like kind of near wine country. So like, and just what a great time. I sat next to Sharon. She donated to the charity. It was all good things. All good things were happening and put us in a great hotel. I'm like, this is the kind of gig I want to be doing all the time. And then the next day I went, shout out to Justin, listener of the pod. He took me to Muir Woods National Park.
Muir Woods?
It's a national monument, Muir Woods, where the giant redwoods are. And it was actually very convenient for me that he shepherded me out there because you can't really just drive there, dude, because you have to reserve a parking spot because it gets really busy. And you can't call an Uber from there because there's no service. And I wouldn't have like known to do any of this. I would have just like tried and failed. And he hit me up, took me out there. We had a great little morning walking around. It was super cool.
So is this the Redwood Forest?
Like maybe. Like I think it's part of the grander Redwood Forest. Like there are other Redwood National Park / monument things in Northern California.
Yeah.
So this must be part of it. But yeah, this is, and you know, the redwoods used to be much more pervasive than they are currently. But there's a lot of really cool, fun facts about them, which I didn't actually learn on this hike. I happened to pop on this like PBS Atlas Obscura collab on the plane where it was talking about the redwoods, and they actually have roots in their trees. They've adapted so that they absorb water in the air as well as in the ground.
So they have branches, but those are roots.
They're not all roots, but they have these like root clumps that kind of take in. So, and the reason why the environment is so good for these trees is because it's so foggy. So they're able to like take in because these fucking giant trees need a lot of water. So they're able to kind of constantly take it in. Justin mentioned this quote, and then of course I started hearing it constantly immediately after, as is the phenomenon. But Mark Twain saying that the coldest winter he ever felt was a summer in San Francisco. There's people wearing winter coats, bro, in the street. So anyway.
Scale 1 to 10. How much oxygen did you feel when you were walking around those trees? How much oxygen was it giving?
I was a little hungover, so not as much as I would have liked, but definitely tons. You know, definitely tons of oxygen pumping.
From these photos, it looks super fresh.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
We probably walked for like 45 minutes. Really kind of whimsical and cool. You figure there's going to be like Fern Gully, like fairy popping out situation.
I love the way the sun like peeks through in between the trees. Totally.
It almost is like a rainforest vibe, but without the like denseness, the density. And so, and then before I went back, so Justin had to go to work. So he kind of dropped me off near where he lived before I had to go to the airport to go to LA. And there was another national park site nearby, sort of I think it's called the San Francisco Maritime National Monument or anything, basically sort of talking about the history of the port, and there's all these like old ships and stuff, and it's really pretty. So I went and checked that out real quick with my luggage, hopped in an Uber to the airport, took an Uber pool, which can be a little bit of a crapshoot, dude.
Yeah, who'd you end up with?
This lady who just wouldn't stop talking about the border.
Oh. Now, was there anything that allowed her to feel like she could start talking about such a subject, or was she ready to chat about it regardless of who was in the car with her?
So I think like something happened while we were in the car where like there was a crazy looking car. Like there was something where it made sense for her to make an audible remark. And once somebody sort of says something, it becomes like easier to start chit-chatting. So we start chit-chatting, and she starts talking about how you know, she's not from, like, we kind of comes out that neither of us are from there. And she says how it's changed so much. And she starts talking about how, you know, the homeless people and stuff, which, you know, is certainly a topic. But I still feel as if sometimes we find a way to talk about those kind of things too much, even though, of course, it's a problem there. And they're figuring it out or whatever, as in the rest of the Pacific Northwest. But anyway, so she starts talking about that, which somehow turns into her talking about the border. And I guess she has people in her family who work jobs where it affects them, where like the husband is one of the contractors who's building the border, I guess. Mm-hmm. And then her brother-in-law does some border patrol things, so whatever. So maybe it's more, and she also is a contractor and she hires a lot of people. And she said how there are some complications with that, where if you don't have citizenship, it can be hard to do background check. And even though a lot of the people are good, some of them are bad, and it's hard to sort of discern who's who. All reasonable. Mm-hmm. In a way, you're like, oh, this is the perfect person to be able to talk about this. Wrong. She was still somehow edging on Wahoo levels of conspiracy behavior, even though she made some valid points and was closer to this sort of thing than I am. She was saying things where I was like, this is not that pleasant of a combo. She was a nice enough lady, went about our ways, but that is the risk you take when you take an Uber pool. And I think I only saved like $5 by doing it. And I was kind of like, this maybe wasn't worth it.
Yeah, this past weekend, dude, it was one of the hottest weekends, I think, in the past
It was hot,
decade.
right, dude? It was so hot.
It was disgusting outside.
Brutal.
I hated going outside, but I had places to be, as people do. And thank God I had MeUndies.
Dude, I literally, such a godsend. Such a godsend.
Seriously, thank God. They're so comfortable. They're so breathable. Tons of different designs, over 100. I felt as calm, cool, and collected as possible, given the circumstances this past weekend.
Yes, and whatever underwear you prefer, MeUndies has the best version of whatever that is. So whether you like a boxer, a boxer brief, whether you like having a nice ball caddy to get everything right in front and out in center, or just a standard boxer brief like I like this puppy, it's the black, stretchable, perfect. Everything goes where it's supposed to go. They're cool. They're breathable. Like Lynch said, it is the best undergarment company that exists that make the best product in every category that you might want. You need to get yourself a pair of MeUndies this summer, or many.
As many as you can fit in your dresser. Seriously.
It's the best. Summer is coming. Be prepared with MeUndies. Get 20% off of your first order plus free shipping at MeUndies.com/OopsPodcast. That's MeUndies.com/OopsPodcast for 20% off plus free shipping. MeUndies. Comfort from the outside in.
How familiar are you with graffiti?
This is a great question and ties directly into something that I was going to talk about on the pod anyway. So well done, Lynch.
That's awesome. So,
okay, how familiar am I with it? I'll tell you exactly how familiar I am with it. Growing up in the tri-state area, being in New York a ton, I'm familiar with it. I'm familiar with the fact that people will do it in places that they're not supposed to do it, like my Zio Butch, my uncle's garage. Then you have to paint over it, which is a pain in the ass. Also, I know that there are some iconic ones. There is sort of the famous Crack is Whack graffiti that they painted on a handball court right off of the FDR in, I believe, the Bronx or northern Manhattan. And they've left it there because it was sort of a good message and has turned into this sort of landmark almost. So I would say that is the extent with which I'm familiar with it. I also know that the can makes a noise when you're shaking it. And that's about all I got. What about you?
you know more than me. I know a lot about the noise that it makes. I've been familiar with that since I was a little kid. But I saw this TikTok where this guy, he's a graffiti guy, and he was like, here's a tip if you're like new to doing street art and doing graffiti. If you were to go and spray paint over somebody's already spray painted art, that is a sign of a threat, and they will look for you and find you and like take care of it. So there was like a big, that whole video is a very big warning.
Interesting.
To not paint over other people's art because they will come after you.
How will they find you?
The way he said it was like,
Very
I'm not
mafia.
gonna, exactly, very mafia. He was like, I'm not gonna get into the specifics, but like people are connected. People will find you. because I guess the street art community is very tight.
Interesting.
And they're very aware of where people's territory is. And so I thought that was very interesting.
Sounds very feudal to me. It's like gang shit.
Yeah.
Like, guys, I always find it funny when anti-establishment people are really sensitive. Like, they're so insensitive. They like go out of their way to just to deface public property and to cause trouble and to be loud and annoying. And yet they are also little sensitive whiners. Comedians I include in that group. Comedians are they can say whatever they want, but God forbid you cross the line with them, turns into this whole thing. So I can't help but kind of chuckle about that, Lynch.
Yeah. Were you artsy as a kid in terms of like drawing or painting?
Not really.
No?
I would draw some shit at some point. Like when we were in Italy, when I was little, like at one point we all were in the studio apartment in Rome, and my dad, I think, was guest professoring or something. And I had nothing, and it was hot as fuck in there. We didn't have a TV. Like all I had to do was draw. But it's not like that drawing yielded some sort of incredible protege. Quite the contrary, Lynch. I, in art class, went out of my way to not do anything because I hated it. And I actually got a D in art in, I think, 5th or 6th grade, which is, you basically have to not try. You have to go out of your, not even not try. You have to be a pain in the ass, go out of your way to not try, and be a dick, of which I did all 3. And we were working on this group mural.
Why'd you do that?
And all I did was clean the paintbrushes. I hated the teacher. And I just hated the, like, maybe this was some ADD shit, but the idea of like creating something out of nothing was like so like mentally exhausting to me.
That's some heavy shit. That is some heavy shit for a kid.
And I have really bad fine motor skills. So like I had terrible handwriting and I wasn't good at like painting or drawing, and like I was terrible at it. So yeah. What about you?
Wasn't it? My sister was very artistic, so I always had access to like high quality tools from Michael's, like the arts and crafts store. So I would copy what my sister did. My sister, she was great at it. We would be watching any show on the VHS and we would pause it, and then we would use the movie or the show that we're watching as a reference point and just try to draw whatever the image was on the screen.
That's cool.
One time, I think WB, Warner Brothers, but it was like it was like the kids version of Warner Brothers. Maybe it was Warner Brothers Kids. I think they had a channel. They
it was like Animaniacs and stuff.
Yeah, so they did like do your best submissions of YuGiOh, and maybe it'll be featured. And I paused YuGiOh and I drew him with his long blonde hair, and I submitted it, and they didn't do anything with it. But that was like, in that moment, I thought like, I'm going to be an artist.
Did you check the mail regularly for the following months?
No, not really.
You let it go?
I kind of let it go.
You let it go, YuGiOh.
Yeah.
Were you a big anime fan?
Just YuGiOh. I loved YuGiOh.
YuGiOh is huge.
YuGiOh is
I think it still is.
I don't know. I went to a birthday party to see the YuGiOh movie. I think it was like 2004, something like that. And every ticket came with a YuGiOh card. And I think like 9, they came with like 10, there were 10 different YuGiOh cards you could have gotten. And like 9 of them were absolute shit. And one of them was like Blue Eyes White Dragon level,
shit.
like
valuable.
Like valuable of a YuGiOh card. And
Cool.
this guy named Lucas, it was his birthday. And he got a shit card. And so did everyone else. And I with my ticket, and the guy handed me a YuGiOh card, and I got the good one.
Wow.
And his mom saw, and she's like, Ryan, do you know it'd be a really good friend thing to do?
Wow.
Maybe you can give Lucas your Blue Eyes White Dragon YuGiOh card. And I was like, no. And I sat down, and like there was like tension between me and Lucas for like the rest of the movie.
You kept it?
I kept it. I was like too young to like care about his feelings. Like I was like, this is my card.
Dude.
My mom bought you an EB Games gift card. Shut the fuck up.
Dude, you were not wrong to keep that card.
Thank you.
This is a birthday party. It's for everyone. We're all having fun.
Thank you.
They threw him a big party. If that's not good enough for him, he can fuck off.
Yeah.
You're going to take a card from another kid at the party and give it. That's insane, dude.
Yeah, looking back on it, looking back on it, insane for the mom to like
Gaslight City, dude.
put me in that position. Gaslight City.
Fuck that.
The other drawing story. This one, my parents I could have gone down a very different path in my life if they made a different decision with the evidence that was presented to them. But I think like the first or second week of kindergarten, they had us just like draw our family, and I don't know why, but I drew Chucky killing me, my sister, my mom, my dad, and my brother. It was.
Are you serious?
It was my family with red crayon all over us, and it was Chucky with a big gray knife. And I got a call home, and I had like a sit down with my parents, and it was like why'd you do this? Serious. Are you nervous around me right now? You don't believe me?
No, I believe you.
Yeah.
I'm evaluating you.
Don't worry. Everything's fine. So, and the nice thing about just you being me and you, Julio, and not another producer here, you don't have anyone else to look at to like do like the eyebrow, like, whoa, you shouldn't have. That was crazy to say. Like just you and me. But yeah, that happened. And I think I just said, and the reason why Chucky was on my mind was because my sister brought me to, we went to the video store to rent movies, and I was very young. I was like 5. And my sister took me to the horror movie section, and she showed me Chucky, and he terrified me. And she was like, he kills everyone. If you're not nice to me, he's going to kill you. And so that was kind of top of mind.
So you got ahead of it. You made sure that he killed her and the rest of your family before they could kill you.
Yeah, but looking back at it, like in those horror movies when like someone draws something terrible, like Chucky killed me too. It wasn't like me standing
You were
with
also
him
dead.
holding garbage bags.
You were dead in the painting.
It was
Is what your sister had prophesized.
Yes. Yeah. So that happened, and I feel like my parents could have done a lot with that, but ended up kind of just like having a chat with me. I talked my way out of it, and now I'm here in the open.
And were you kind of encouraged not to make any more art in the future?
Art like that.
So when they'd give you a pencil, be like, all right, Ryan, make sure you draw something nice.
Yeah.
And not Chucky killing everyone.
Yeah. It was just one of those things. I really thought nothing of it. It wasn't like, no, Chucky told me to draw this. Like, it wasn't like, I didn't say anything insane. Like, I was like, I had like an alibi. I was like, Ashley showed me this movie. He like kills everybody, Mom. So that was that. That was a very early kindergarten thing with art.
Excellent. All right. Well, this is the reason why I thought about bringing up the graffiti. I had a pretty funny moment at a store with these graffiti people. So I was in LA.
This past week?
Yes.
Oh,
we'll talk about LA on the next episode more, but so I'm in this store and I'm buying water or whatever. I just arrived. And it was one of those like smoke stores, you know what I mean, where it's like a colorful awning that's like chill, that's like geared towards teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Where you can tell it's geared towards teenagers. And I noticed them holding these cans, and I thought it was some sort of drink. And I said, what's that? And the kid goes, it's spray paint. I go, oh, nice. He goes, do you do art? And I said, well, it depends what you think is art. And he's like, well, if you think it's art, it's art.
Wow.
And then they just walked away. And I was like, I like that, dude. Fucking, all right.
I like that too.
Well, what do you say we do an email to Lynchy?
We got a bunch of emails.
We got a bunch of good ones. What's up, fellas? You guys been keeping it so real as late. I listen to a lot of Neanderthals who do podcasts, and whenever I switch over to your smooth voices and eloquent wordplay, it's like a cold beer on a summer's eve for my ears. Very nice. I'm not sure who's really the turkey here, but I just started a new job where I commute to work early to hit the gym and beat the traffic. I go to a 24-hour gym, which isn't always staffed, but the staff come in at 7 a.m. I finish my lift at around 8, and I'm sweatier and grosser than a Yankee fan's armpit. And all the showers are locked and no staff have shown up. I'm running late and quite disgusting. So I take my shower stuff to the washroom and proceed to wash my hair and body by splashing water from the sink all over myself after sudsing up. Several people walk in and give me some weird looks, but I got to do what I got to do. Eventually make it to work and no one's the wiser, not sure one of those staff ever even showed up. Who's the turkey here, me or the staff who hit snooze a few too many times?
I certainly would say that you're not a turkey for that.
You sort of do have to do what you have to do. It's not ideal. And I'm assuming you don't have time to go home before work, obviously, which you kind of mentioned or alluded to.
Because here are your two options. You embarrass yourself amongst strangers in a bathroom while trying your best to wash yourself before work, or you go to work, which let's assume you're there for 8 hours, and you smell disgusting amongst people that you are going to see tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day, and next week, and next month, and forever until you're not there anymore. Like, those are the people that you, like, do that for.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares about the strangers?
Yeah, the question sort of becomes, too, it's like, okay, I guess you could theoretically be a little late to work in order to sort of make sure you're presentable. But I think as a last resort, you throw a couple towels on the ground and you wash yourself with the sink. I guess it's sort of like a last resort, but you got to do what you got to do. Agreed. Like the staff for sure, the turkeys, but you should also maybe mention it to management and be like, hey, like I belong to this gym because it's convenient. Just want to confirm that the showers are going to be open in the future. And maybe this was a one-off and it was just like these kids who worked the early shift weren't there or something. But yeah, got to make sure that you can rely on it because this is important for your well-being, bro.
And yeah, regardless, sorry that you had to deal with that.
Agreed.
Because even though like you'd rather be embarrassed by strangers than the people that you work with, you never want to be embarrassed or feel uncomfortable. And I'm sorry that you had to do that while people are walking in and out of the washroom.
Yeah,
it sucks.
Also, washroom, it's giving Canadian potentially.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, dude, keep doing the Lord's work.
That was a good it's giving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As Lynch would say. Anyways, guys, Oops Podcast, dog days of summer are upon us. Keep enjoying hanging with us. We certainly enjoy hanging with you. I'm YuGiOh. He's Ryan. You can catch me at Not Julio on Instagram, at Not Julio G on Snapchat and TikTok. OopsPodcast.com for merch. OopsPodcast@gmail.com for emails. Oops the Podcast on all socials. Forget anything, Lynch? What's your stuff?
Just check us out on the tube. And Ryan is really polite. We'll see you guys on Thursday. Thank you.